Welcome to Say When. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini. This podcast is for any woman who's had enough of restrictive diets, feeling bad about their bodies, or putting their lives on hold until they lose the weight. If you've had enough of diet culture, then it's time to say when. Today, we're digging into a topic that hits home for so many of us, the myths and half-truths we've been fed about our bodies for way too long. I'm going to expose the beauty myths that have shaped our perception and warped our sense of self-worth. But here's the good part. We're not just pointing out the problems. We're talking about how to break free from these toxic narratives once and for all. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's dive into how we can reclaim our bodies from the lies and start embracing who we truly are. This conversation could be a game changer. Welcome to another empowering episode of Say When. I'm your host, Holly Toscanini, and as always, I'm thrilled to have you here. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're a regular listener, thank you for joining me today on this journey towards self-discovery and self-love. Today, we're digging into the core ideas from two powerful books that have inspired so much of my work. The Beauty Myth by Naomi and The Body is Not an Apology by Sonya Renee Taylor. These books have helped countless women, including myself, to question societal norms, reject toxic beauty standards, and embark on a journey of radical self-love and body acceptance. Now, my goal for this episode is to provide you with some of the insights, tools, and encouragements you need to start or continue your own journey. And if you love these books as much as I do, I'll include the links to them in the show notes. The first book really opened my eyes to the ways in which society has been using beauty as a weapon against women. I'm talking about Naomi Wolf's groundbreaking work, The Beauty Myth. This book was first published back in 1990, but its message is just as relevant, if not more so, today as it was then. Now, in The Beauty Myth, Wolf argues that women have gained more power and independence in society. As we have done this, the standards of beauty have become more oppressive. It's like society realized that it couldn't control women through legal or economic means anymore, so it turned to something deeply personal, our appearance. The book exposes how these impossible standards of beauty are used to undermine women's confidence and keep us focused on our looks instead of our accomplishments. Now, Wolf talks about the historical roots of these beauty standards, showing how they've been shaped by patriarchal societies to keep women in a perpetual state of inadequacy. Now, whether it's through media, advertising, or even in the workplace, the message has been pretty consistent. You're not good enough unless you look a certain way. And of course, that certain way is often unattainable and reserved for the few and constantly shifting, so that even those who try to conform can never quite get there. The societal pressure isn't just about looking good either. It's about keeping women distracted, anxious, and ultimately powerless. All the energy we could be spending on pursuing our dreams, making our voices heard, or even just enjoying our lives gets siphoned away into worrying about our appearance. It's a powerful, insidious way to keep us in check, and it's something that affects every woman, regardless of her background or achievements. Now, I'd like to share a personal story from one of my clients, Christy, that illustrates the impact of these beauty standards. Christy is an accomplished woman, successful in her career, loved by her friends and family, but she spent most of her life feeling like she was never quite enough because of the way her body looked. Now, Christy told me about a time in her late 30s when she had just been promoted to a senior position at work. It was a moment that should have been filled with pride and celebration, but instead she found herself fixated on her appearance. See, she'd gained some weight over the years, and she was constantly comparing herself to the younger, thinner women she saw in magazines and on TV. And despite her professional success, she felt unworthy, like she hadn't really earned her achievements because she didn't look the part. This obsession with her body started to consume her. She began to doubt her abilities at work, feeling like she didn't deserve to be in the room with her colleagues, too. She even started avoiding social situations because she was embarrassed about how she looked. All of this because she was measuring herself against an impossible standard of beauty, one that had nothing to do with who she really was or what she had accomplished. Now, it wasn't until Christy began to understand where these feelings were coming from, how they were rooted in society's pressures and not in any actual truth about her worth, that she started to let go of those negative thoughts. She realized that her body wasn't the problem. The problem was the unrealistic and harmful standards she'd been taught to believe in. Now, Christy's story is one that so many of us can relate to, isn't it? We've all felt that pressure to fit into a certain mold, to look a certain way, even when it's clear that the standard is unattainable and, frankly, unfair. And it's easy to see how this focus on appearance can overshadow everything else we have to offer. So, I want to invite you to take a moment and reflect on your own experience. Have you ever found yourself doubting your worth because of the way you looked? Maybe you avoided opportunities, held yourself back, or even criticized yourself because you didn't feel like you'd measure up to some external standard of beauty. It's okay to acknowledge those feelings. They're real, and they've been ingrained in us for quite a long time. Now, as we move through this episode, I hope you'll keep these reflections in mind and start to challenge these standards. Remember, it isn't about just recognizing the problem. It's about finding ways to break free from it and embrace a more authentic and loving relationship with your body. Now that we've unpacked some of the ways society's tried to keep us locked into these limiting beauty standards, I want to shift our focus to a powerful tool that can help us break free from these chains. It's a concept that Sonya Renee Taylor beautifully articulates in her transformative book, The Body Is Not an Apology. This book is all about reclaiming our bodies through what Taylor calls radical self-love. So what exactly is radical self-love? Well, according to Taylor, it's more than just liking what you see in the mirror or feeling confident in a new outfit. Radical self-love is about fully embracing and loving our body in all its forms, without conditions, exceptions, or reservations. It's a deep, transformative love that extends beyond self-esteem and self-acceptance to a place where you understand that your worth is not tied to your appearance, your achievements, or even anyone else's opinion of you. Taylor argues that the reason many of us struggle with body acceptance is because we've been taught to settle for less. Conventional norms of self-esteem often encourage us to boost our confidence by focusing on our strengths or achievements. And while there's nothing wrong with that, it can still leave us vulnerable to feelings of inadequacy when we don't measure up in other areas. Now, radical self-love, on the other hand, says that we are worthy simply because we exist and that our bodies, regardless of size, shape, color, or ability, are deserving of love and respect exactly as they are. Now, this approach is particularly important because it not only challenges the idea that our worth is based on how we look, but it also acknowledges the intersectionality of our identities. Taylor emphasizes that radical self-love is about rejecting the societal messages that tell us we're not enough because we're not thin enough, young enough, white enough, able-bodied enough, or any of the other enoughs that we're bombarded with. To help you start embracing radical self-love, I'd like to share a simple but powerful exercise that you can try today. You've probably heard of it before, and there's a lot of versions of it. It's called the mirror exercise, and it's something I recommend doing regularly, especially when you're feeling a little down or uncertain about your body. So here's how it works. Find a mirror and stand in front of it. Now, it doesn't have to be a full-length mirror. Maybe it's just a hand mirror or the mirror in your compact. But take a deep breath and look at your reflection. Now, if you're looking at your entire body and it feels like too much, like I said, it's perfectly okay to focus on just one part of your body or face at a time. As you look at yourself, try to focus on what your body does for you rather than how it looks. If you're looking at your legs, think about how they carry you through the day, or your hands and how they allow you to create and connect, or how your heart keeps you alive and thriving. And then look into your eyes and say out loud, "My body is not an apology. My body is worthy of love exactly as it is." Repeat this several times and really let the words sink in. Now, there are also a couple of affirmations that you can use to say throughout your day to really reinforce this mindset. You could say, "I am enough just as I am." And if you're willing, you can expand on that to, "I am enough just as I am. My worth is not defined by my appearance, but by the love and kindness I bring to the world." Or this one, "I choose to honor and love my body, not in spite of its imperfections, but because of them. They make me uniquely me." See, these affirmations are simple yet powerful reminders that your value is intrinsic and not contingent on meeting any external standard. So, why is it so important for us to incorporate radical self-love into our daily lives? the benefits are truly transformative. First and foremost, radical self-love frees us from the constant cycle of self-judgment and comparison. When you embrace this mindset, you stop measuring your worth by how you stack up against others or some arbitrary standard. Instead, you begin to see yourself as a whole, complete, and worthy of love woman just as you are. And this shift can lead to profound changes in how you live your life. When you practice radical self-love, you start to prioritize your well-being. Not because you're trying to achieve a certain look, but because you genuinely care about yourself. This means making choices that nurture your body, mind, and spirit, whether that's eating nourishing foods, engaging in joyful music, setting healthy boundaries, or simply allowing yourself to rest without guilt. Now, for women in particular, radical self-love can be a powerful act of resistance. It's a way of reclaiming our bodies from the societal narratives that have told us we're not good enough. By choosing to love ourselves unconditionally, we're saying no to the messages that have tried to diminish us and yes to our own power, our own voice, and our own truth. Incorporating radical self-love into your daily life doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. And like any journey, it's made up of small, consistent steps. But I can promise you this, the more you practice, the more you'll start to see the beauty and strength that has always been within you, just waiting to be recognized. As inspiring and empowering as the concept of radical self-love is, I know that it's not always easy to embrace it in our daily lives. Many of us face significant obstacles, both internal and external, that can make it challenging to fully accept and love our bodies. So let's talk about some of these barriers and how we can start to break them down. First, I want to take a look at the internal obstacles we often face, and one of the most common has got to be negative self-talk. It's that little voice in your head that criticizes everything, from your appearance to your abilities. It's that voice that tells you you're not good enough, or that you need to lose weight, or that you should look a certain way to be valued. This negative self-talk doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's usually a result of internalized biases we've absorbed over time. These biases are the beliefs and attitudes we've picked up from our own experiences, from what society tells us, from our family, and it all tells us that certain bodies are more worthy than others. And when we internalize these messages, they become part of how we see ourselves. And that often leads to feeling inadequate, feeling shame, and a lot of self-doubt. But here's the thing. That negative little voice is not the truth. It's a learned behavior, and like any behavior, it can be unlearned. The first step is to recognize when you're engaging in this negative self-talk. And pay attention to the words you use when you think about yourself and challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just something I've been taught to believe? It's important because over time, you can start to replace those negative thoughts with more compassionate and loving ones. Now, let's talk about the external pressures that can make body acceptance so difficult. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with images and messages about what we're supposed to look like. Whether it's through social media, advertising, or even the well-meaning comments of friends and family, we're constantly being told that our value is tied to our appearance. The media in particular plays a huge role in shaping our perceptions of beauty. We are shown a very narrow definition of what is considered attractive, and often it's thin, young, and Eurocentric, and anything outside of that is seen as less desirable. Now, these unrealistic standards can lead to a sense of inadequacy and drive us to strive for a body that doesn't reflect who we really are. But just like with internalized biases, we have the power to push back against these external pressures. One strategy is to curate your media consumption. Really be mindful of the content you expose yourself to. Only follow social media accounts that promote body diversity and positivity, and unfollow those that make you feel bad about yourself or like you have to change. You can also choose to support brands and media outlets that celebrate all bodies, not just a select few. Now, it's also important to set boundaries with the people around you. If someone in your life is contributing to the pressure you feel about your body, whether intentionally or not, don't be afraid to have a conversation with them about how their words or actions are affecting you. You deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, not tear you down. So, how do we counteract these negative influences and start to build a more positive, loving relationship with our bodies? Here are a few actionable strategies you can start using today. The first is to practice mindful self-talk. Now, as I mentioned earlier, start by paying attention to your internal dialogue. And when you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, pause and reframe those thoughts into something more compassionate. For example, if you find yourself thinking, ugh, I hate my thighs, try replacing it with, my thighs are strong and help me move through the world. That might feel like a stretch at first, but find something that works for you. Next, create a media detox plan. Take some time to evaluate the media you consume. And if you have some accounts or their programs or even magazines, if you still read magazines that make you feel worse about your body, consider taking a break from them. Instead, seek out content that uplifts and empowers you. There's a growing community of body positive influencers and content creators who are challenging the status quo and celebrating all bodies. Tap into that. And then build a support network. Surround yourself with people who support your journey towards body acceptance. These could be friends, family, or even online communities or podcasts like this one that share your values. Having a network of supportive people can make all the difference when you're feeling vulnerable or discouraged. Now, to illustrate how powerful these strategies can be, I want to share a testimonial from one of my clients, Rachel. Rachel, like so many of us, struggled for years with body acceptance, and she was caught in a cycle of negative self-talk, constantly comparing herself to others and feeling like she could never measure up. She told me about a time when she almost backed out of a big presentation at work because she was so anxious about how she looked. She worried about being judged, not for her skills or knowledge or the PowerPoint presentation, but because of her appearance. This anxiety had held her back in many areas of her life, from her career to relationships. But Rachel made a decision to change. She started by practicing mindful self-talk, catching herself in those moments of negativity and consciously choosing to break free and treat herself with kindness. She also took a media detox and unfollowed accounts that made her feel less than and replaced them with content that celebrated all kinds of beauty. And over time, Rachel noticed a shift. She began to feel more confident, not just in her body, but in her abilities and her worth as a person. She went on to give that presentation at work, and it was a big success. But more importantly, she did it feeling proud of who she was, inside and out. Now, Rachel's journey isn't about changing her body, it was about changing her mindset. And that's something we all can do. Now that we've talked about overcoming the obstacles that stand in the way of body acceptance, I want to shift our focus to something really empowering, embracing and celebrating our bodies. This is where we move beyond simply accepting ourselves and step into a space of genuine love, joy, and appreciation for everything our bodies do for us. One of the most beautiful and liberating things we can do on this journey is to find ways to express and celebrate our bodies creatively. See, when we let go of the idea that our bodies need to look a certain way to be valued, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. Your body is your own. It's unique, it's powerful, and it deserves to be honored in a way that feels authentic to you. Now, creative expression can take so many forms, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's about finding what makes you feel alive, connected, and joyful in your body. Maybe that's through art or dance or fashion or even just the way you carry yourself throughout the day. The key is to engage in activities that allow you to celebrate your body, not as an object to be judged, but as a living, breathing, dynamic part of who you are. Another important aspect of celebrating our bodies is through movement, but not in a way that we've often been taught to think about it. So many of us have a relationship with movement that's really tainted by the idea that exercise is something we have to do to lose weight or to change the shape of our bodies. But when we shift our perspective, we can begin to see movement as something joyful, something that connects us to our bodies in a positive, life-affirming way. See, joyful movement is all about engaging in physical activities that make you feel good, not because you're trying to burn calories or achieve some specific goal, but because it brings you pleasure and a sense of well-being. I mean, it could be dancing around your living room, taking a walk in nature, trying out a new yoga routine, or anything that makes you feel connected to your body. And when we move our bodies with joy and intention, we start to experience them in a new light. Movement becomes a way to celebrate what our bodies can do rather than focusing on what they look like. It's about reclaiming physical activity as something that belongs to you, something that enhances your life rather than something that's tied to external expectations. Now, I'd like to suggest a simple creative activity that you can try to help you embrace and celebrate your body. It's called a body acceptance collage. If that name doesn't resonate with you, call it whatever you like. It's really just a fun and meaningful way to express appreciation for your body visually, and it's something you can do alone or with friends or family. So here's how it works. Get together some magazines or photos or printed images that really resonate with you, as well as any other art supplies you might want to use, like markers, stickers, colored paper, paints. You get it. Now, on a large piece of paper or poster board, start to create a collage that represents the things you're grateful for about your body. This could include images that symbolize strength or comfort or beauty or any other qualities that you appreciate in yourself. And as you work on your collage, think about all the things your body does for you every day. Maybe include images of hands to represent your ability to create, or a heart to symbolize the love and care you give to others. There really aren't any rules here. This is about expressing your unique relationship with your body in a way that feels positive and uplifting. And when your collage is complete, put it somewhere where you're going to see it regularly, like on your wall or your desk. Let it be a reminder of the love and gratitude you have for your body exactly as it is right now. See, embracing and celebrating our bodies isn't something that has to be reserved for special occasions. It's something we can do every day in small but meaningful ways. And whether it's through creative expression, through joyful movement, or simply taking a moment to express all that our bodies do for us, we have the power to shift our perspective and cultivate a deeper, more loving relationship with ourselves. So I encourage you to find what feels right for you. I mean, you could try the body acceptance collage, you could explore joyful movement, or come up with your own unique way to honor your body. The more we celebrate our bodies, the more we reinforce the idea that we are worthy of love and respect, just as we are. Now, as I wrap up this discussion on body acceptance and radical self-love, there's one more essential element I want to highlight. It's the importance of community support. While the journey to body acceptance is deeply personal, it doesn't have to be a solitary one. In fact, having a supportive community around you can make all the difference in sustaining your progress and deepening your self-love. See, we live in a world that often reinforces harmful beauty standards and pressures us to conform to unrealistic ideals. And it can be exhausting to constantly push back on these messages on your own. That's where a supportive community comes in. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people who share your values and goals can provide you with the encouragement, validation, and understanding that are so crucial on this journey. Supportive communities also create a safe space where you can be yourself without judgment, where you can share your struggles and celebrate your victories. When you're a part of a community that values body diversity and promotes self-love, it becomes easier to resist the negative influences that society throws at you. You're reminded that you're not alone, and that there are others who understand what you're going through, and that together you can change and challenge the status quo. See, in communities like this, you're going to find role models, mentors, and friends who inspire you to keep going, even on tough days. You can also offer support to others, which not only strengthens your bond with the community, but also reinforces your own commitment to body acceptance. It's a powerful, reciprocal relationship that lifts up everybody involved. So how do you build or find a supportive community that aligns with your body acceptance goals? Well, here are a few tips to get you started. Consider joining online groups and forums, because there are a lot of online communities dedicated to body neutrality, body acceptance, and body positivity, as well as intuitive eating and self-love. I mean, obviously there's platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. They all host groups where you can connect with others who are on a similar journey. So look for groups that resonate with your values and participate in discussions, share your experience, and offer to support others if you feel like it. You could also consider attending workshops or webinars. There's so many of them online. Participating in workshops, webinars, or virtual events focused on body acceptance and self-love is really a great way to meet like-minded individuals. Now, these types of events can foster a sense of community among participants, and you can continue to stay connected with people you meet even after the event is over. Now, I know a lot of the online webinars are promoted by coaches and other people like me to get you to join their programs. But even if you never join the program, listening to the information can be powerful, and you're going to meet a lot of really great people. You can look for local support groups in your community. See, consider looking for a local support group or community in your area focused on body acceptance. Maybe there's a meetup group. These groups often meet in person and provide an opportunity to connect face-to-face with others who share your journey. And if you're comfortable with in-person gatherings, this can be a great way to build deeper, more personal networks. Or you could create your own community. I mean, if you can't find one that fits your needs, why not create your own? Start a small group with friends or family members or colleagues who are interested in body acceptance. You can meet regularly to discuss books like the ones I talked about today, share resources, and support each other in your journey. I mean, sometimes the most meaningful communities are the ones we create for ourselves, right? And finally, follow body positive influencers and accounts on social media. I mean, we all know that social media can be a double-edged sword, but if you follow influencers and content creators who promote body positivity and self-acceptance, your feed can become a source of inspiration and support instead of dread. So engage with their content, connect with other followers, and build a virtual community that uplifts you. And as you continue on your path to body acceptance, I invite you to take advantage of some free resources I've created to support you in this journey. If you're curious about your relationship with dieting, you can start by taking my free quiz, What's Your Dieting Personality? You'll gain insights into your habits and mindset, which can be a powerful first step in breaking free from diet culture. Or if you're wondering whether your current diet is doing more harm than good, check out my other free quiz, Is Your Diet Causing More Harm Than Good? This quiz will help you assess the impact of your diet on your overall well-being and guide you toward making more intuitive and healthful choices. Additionally, if you're looking for tools to support you on your journey, I've created a series of journals and workbooks designed to help you explore your thoughts, track your progress, and develop a deeper sense of self-love. These resources are perfect for those who want to engage in daily practices that reinforce body acceptance. You can check out my journals and workbooks on Amazon.com, and I'll include links to all of these resources in the show notes. So remember, you don't have to do this alone. There's a whole community of people out here who are ready to support you, cheer you on, and walk alongside you in this journey to body acceptance and radical self-love. Let's continue to lift each other up and create a world where all bodies are celebrated, valued, and loved. Whew, what a journey we've been on today. Now, as we come to the close of this episode, I want to take a moment to recap some of the key points that we've covered so you can walk away with a clear sense of how to move forward on your path to body acceptance. We started by discussing Naomi Wolf's The Beauty Myth and how societal beauty standards have historically been used to oppress women, keeping us focused on our appearance rather than our true potential. We talked about the importance of recognizing these harmful standards and the power in rejecting them. Then we explored the concept of radical self-love as described by Sonya Renee Taylor in The Body Is Not an Apology. We learned that radical self-love goes beyond traditional self-esteem. It's all about fully embracing and loving our bodies as they are without conditions. We also shared a few practical exercises and affirmations to help you start incorporating radical self-love into your daily life. Next, we tackled the internal and external obstacles that can make body acceptance challenging, from negative self-talk to society's pressures. We discussed actionable strategies to counteract these negative influences, and I shared Rachel's powerful testimonial about overcoming these obstacles and creating her confidence. Finally, we talked about the importance of embracing and celebrating our bodies, whether through creative expression, joyful movement, or other personal practices. And I encouraged you to try out the body gratitude collage as a way to visually express appreciation for your body. And of course, you can't forget the crucial role of community support. We explored how being part of a supportive community can reinforce your journey toward body acceptance, and we shared a few tips on how to build or find a community that uplifts you. Now, as we move into the week ahead, I want to pose a challenge. Choose one action step from today's episode that resonated with you and commit to integrating it into your life this week. Whether it's practicing the mirror exercise, starting your body acceptance collage, or reaching out to a community that supports body positivity, take that step and see how it begins to shift your relationship with your body. Remember, small, consistent actions can lead to profound changes over time, and I encourage you to embrace this challenge with an open heart and mind and be gentle with yourself as you take these steps. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I'm truly honored to share this space with you and be a part of your journey towards radical self-love and body acceptance. Your presence here means the world to me. And if you found value in today's episode, I'd love it if you could take a moment to share this podcast with your friends or family or anybody you think could benefit from this message. And if you have a few extra minutes, leaving a review would be incredibly helpful. Your feedback not only helps others find the podcast, but it also ensures that we can continue to grow and improve together. Oh, and by the way, I've got some exciting things brewing behind the scenes, so stay tuned for updates. Until next time, remember, you are worthy of love just as you are. Take care, and bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Say When, the podcast for women who've had enough of diet culture and are ready to get on with their lives. If you'd like to learn more about working with me, send me a DM through Instagram at Holly Toscanini, or you can find me on my website, hollytoscanini.com. Thanks for joining me.